So my belief is that a lot of the issues that people experience is really around their thoughts about the issues, not necessarily the issues themselves. And so what I do is I help people rethink those situations, their situation, what's going on, so that they can actually go and very seamlessly solve those problems.
Welcome to the Making Sales Social podcast, featuring the top voices in sales, marketing, and business. Join Brynne Tillman and me, Bob Woods, as we each bring you the best tips and strategies our guests are teaching their clients, so you can leverage them for your own virtual and social selling. Enjoy the show.
Welcome back to Making Sales Social. I'm so excited to have Cristina DiGiacomo here. She is a renowned philosopher and corporate visionary, known for her profound influence in the business realm by integrating ancient wisdom with modern business strategies. I know her through the C-Suite Network, and she is the Chief Philosopher Officer at the C-Suite Network Technology Council and a celebrated author. Cristina brings invaluable insights to executives and business leaders, aiding them in navigating complex challenges with intellectual wellness and clarity. Her unique approach helps cultivate mental resilience and decision-making prowess, essential for sustaining success. Cristina, welcome to the show.
Hi, Brynne. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody out there.
Yeah, so thrilled to have you here. Every time I'm in a C-suite meeting, whether it celebrates or a thought leadership council, I listen to your brilliance, and you bring so much value and insights. And what I love is you've got this core philosophy that we're going to talk about a little bit that really enhances the way people do business today. And I love that. So before we jump into your genius, we ask everyone the same first question, which is, what does making sales social mean to you?
So it's interesting. It's such an interesting, compelling question. And one of the things that came up for me is I feel like we come out of the womb selling. I mean, if you think about it, like we have to be cute as babies so that people take care of us. We have to and I mean this in like, this is the most natural thing that goes on socially. We have to contribute. We have to participate. We have to make sure that people know that we are worth staying in the tribe. I mean, selling made social is really sort of a modern take on what we do naturally as human beings, which is to connect and to share ideas and to share thoughts. And so for me, just naturally being social, you're automatically, in a way, selling. But and I know, but it seems like weird, or, because selling has such a kind of connotation to it. But all it is sharing of yourself to other people and really taking the time to let them share of themselves to you. And that's really what it's, to me, selling made social is all about. It's just what we do naturally.
Yeah. And I mean, I love the thought that from the moment we are born, we have to sell our family on loving us. We have to sell, and we have to ask for what we need, as well as, what others need as well. So I love that. So let's jump in a little bit into your journey. Now, your degree is in communications and a minor in philosophical studies. Just tell me a little bit about, how did you decide to kind of go that route?
Sure. So I really had an interest in at least how people relate to one another, like how they communicate. And I also was very curious about, believe it or not, management and business. when I was like 18, 19 years old. So I went and I got a degree specifically in interorganizational communications and business. And I even got an advanced degree at some point in organizational change management. Like I just always had this fascination of the human side of the business arrangement, as you can say, within an organization. And actually, the philosophy came in because I felt there was something missing. There was something missing in just my life, period. And I was working in these very intense environments that required a lot of mental gymnastics, a lot of political maneuvering, and I needed something outside of my work. So I started taking philosophy classes at this local school. And it turned out that it was extremely helpful in being able to understand the working environments that I was in, that I was able to actually relate to the people that I was working with and truly understand what they were going through, and help them. So help my bosses get through a challenging time, or help steward a new idea up the ranks, like you name it. It was so helpful. So then I just basically brought all three together, and I was like, oh, I can actually make this a thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. So if you could just share a little bit about what is your ethos, or, what is that philosophical, I guess, positioning that you bring into business and leadership?
So, well, my belief is that work doesn't have to be terrible. Okay, so that's just like, let's just start there. And a lot of the reasons why we have these challenges, which can be very intense from external sources, whether there's competition, whether the company's not doing really well, there's a crisis, like there's that. Then there's at the individual level where someone is not feeling valued, or they're disconnected to their purpose. Like all of that, all of those challenges require people to actually have to intellectually and mentally engage with those issues. The question is, what is the fitness of their intellectual and thought, and thought generation, and their ability to actually enter into and engage with an issue clearly and purely. So my belief is that a lot of the issues that people experience is really around their thoughts about the issues, not necessarily the issues themselves. And so what I do is I help people rethink those situations, their situation, what's going on, so that they can actually go and very seamlessly solve those problems, make those tough decisions, have those conversations, and really truly just get on with it, because that's what the work is asking us to do.
So that's really an interesting perspective. I just want to go one more deep into that, right? So as you went through your philosophical studies, did you learn different concepts from different philosophers? And how did you decide which ones you were going to bring into the business world? What resonated most with you? And what have you found has had the highest success with your clients?
So really great questions. Yes, absolutely. I'm multidisciplinary. So I bring in different concepts from across millennia and across traditions, whether they're Eastern traditions or Western traditions, and all different kinds of philosophers. And how I select those really actually goes to the understanding the problem, understanding the challenge, which is why it's important, for me, I'm one of the only philosophers that I'm aware of that has the professional business and executive background that I do. So really truly understanding and knowing and experiencing, okay, these are the problems that occur at the leadership level, at the organizational level, at the individual level. And then what I do is I basically go and find concepts that I think would be interesting to be a solution, or at least a way for the person or the team or the CEO to kind of look at whatever that problem is in a more clear way. And so that's essentially how I help people. Is I understand what the problem is first. And because I have, a lot of experience in business, I usually really understand the deeper aspects of that. And then I go and decide, is it going to be Nietzsche who's going to help out here? Is it going to be Socrates who's going to help out here? Is it going to be Lao Tzu? And then I take those concepts and I teach them. So I very much am a teacher of philosophy to people in the business world.
Oh, gosh, I love that. Now, you've got a great book called Wise Up at Work, and you dive into managing with calm and leading, leading with calmness. I don't know if I'm saying that, articulating that well, but can you give us a couple of key insights that are really critical for leaders today that you highlighted in your book?
So one of the things that's really important is to understand the truth of what is going on. That is the most critical thing for that is philosophy first responding is knowing the truth. And a lot of times the truth is very, very cleverly hidden in a lot of organizations for a number of reasons. There's political wills at work. There's agendas at work. There's people's different, just genuine, honestly different perceptions of what's going on. And a leader's job is to cut through all of that and really get to the truth, really understand the facts. And the second, right after that, the second thing that they have to do is to understand and observe what they think about those facts, because what they think about those facts are also cleverly constructed. And so a leader's job is also to try to remove their sort of initial reaction to whatever that truth is, to whatever those facts are, and make sure that they're engaging with that situation or that information as purely as possible, without any sort of opinions or conflation or anything like that. And so the whole thing about wisdom at work is, how can you look at a situation, have the appropriate thoughts about that situation, discern the right thing to do, and then act, and then just act and be decisive. And so, but I would say truth being the goal is the most important thing.
I want to go deeper into that, because I think that that's probably one of the hardest things people can get to, because everyone has their own version of truth. And so my first question asking you as a philosopher, is there truly one version of truth, or can there be various truths?
So that's a really great question. The truth has many faces, but if you take the time, and typically this happens in a conversation, if you really take the time and ask questions and listen, and also be willing to be refuted be willing to be, that's the thing. This is the Socratic dialectic that I'm sharing with you. And the principles are, making sure that you're listening and asking questions, but also being willing to be challenged and then letting the conversation go where it leads. And 9 times out of 10, there may be 2 different versions of events, 2 different ideas or truths. I say, my truth and your truth. All that is it's my perception of the truth and your perception of the truth. And the truth may be, we just don't get along. It's not right. It's not, Brynne, I did my thing on time. And I'm like, well, you did it wrong. My version of the truth, your version of the truth. The real truth is we don't get along. And until people get past the perception of facts and to the truth of the matter, we don't get along, or we don't understand each other's roles and responsibilities, and there's more to learn. If there's more to learn, you have not landed on the truth.
We need some of this in our politics today. I love this.
So I've been told.
Yeah,
You're not the first person to tell me this.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I love that. So, what advice would you give someone who wants to start integrating philosophy into their leadership style, but they really just don't know where to start? What would you say to them?
Yeah, so I call the Stoics like the gateway philosophy. The Stoics are a gateway drug to philosophy, and so I highly recommend checking out Ryan Holiday's The Daily Stoic, or even picking up Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, and the Enchiridion by Epictetus. So start with the Stoics. They're pretty accessible and easy to understand, and are very practical. Philosophy can be very practical, and that's what I do. I'm a practical philosopher, so I only work with philosophers and concepts that can be used in everyday life. So if someone is interested in using philosophy for leadership, I encourage them to look at the Stoics, but I also encourage them, believe it or not, to listen to themselves.
So go deeper on that a little bit.
So one of the practices, and this has been very illuminating for a lot of leaders, is to listen to the sound of your voice and to listen to other people. And the reason for that is it is a direct line into reality. It is completely getting out of your own head and going straight into your environment and the reality of a situation. And so when you actually stop and listen to yourself talking, you will, and I've had leaders say, holy crap, I realize I talk a lot and I don't say much, or I have not truly thought out what I'm supposed to say. And I feel my voice getting away and saying things that are kind of half-assed. So I've had those kinds of reactions with this practice. And then when they're internalizing or listening, they're like, wow, I heard so much from my staff or from the situation. I really felt present. And so to me, like if you want to actually start incorporating philosophy or wisdom, listen to yourself and listen to other people.
That's awesome. I love that. I'm going to throw something else out there because I think that this kind of dovetails into kind of mentorship. So have you had mentors and have you mentored others that have helped you through your career?
Yes. I would say though later, like I would say when I began my entrepreneurial journey, that is when that is when the mentors came in. And I have a philosophy mentor named Tom Morris, who's an amazing contemporary philosopher. And then I have business mentors, like the people at, the people at C-suite, and like, I've listened to you too, like say really smart things. And I'm like, oh, she's so smart. And so in a way, like you're sort of like a tangential mentor to me. So, and then I also really love mentoring myself. I've had several interns throughout my career. I did more mentoring than me being mentored. So yeah, I had lots of interns that still stay in touch with me that are like, hey, I am like a supervisor at this job doing everything that I love. And it's just wonderful.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I'm finding more and more how important real good mentorship is, which is why I joined the C-suite network, actually, right? Because the right people are in the right room with the right stories and the right support. So, and you being one of them, I love listening to everything that you share as well. So I think that's awesome. Now, you have received multiple accolades. You have two New York Times Publisher Awards. Just tell me, like, I'm so impressed. Tell me a little bit about that, and how has that affected your career, or has it?
So, awards are great. don't get me wrong. It's a job well done. And that's the thing about the New York Times Publishers Awards is really about leadership and stewarding really good ideas that actually make a difference. And so that's wonderful. And being acknowledged in so many ways has been great. The thing is, it bumps up against, like, I know that it's important for people to see, and I know that it's important as a way, I'm selling in a way, the fact that I've had these accomplishments, but it also, in a way, there's a tension with one of my philosophies, which comes from Aristotle, which is seek no honors. So
are you in conflict?
Yeah, I actually am in conflict because part of it is like you do the work for the beauty and the value of the work itself and not necessarily the outcome. And so that is something that I hold very dear. And so sometimes it's hard, like, to be acknowledged in that way. And, but I know that it's important to people, like having credibility. So, yeah.
Well, and it also, I think there's some recognition of the good work that you're doing,
Yeah.
right? So I think a recognition like that is, man, I'm on the right path. I can help more people doing the right thing. So that's
Well,
how
thank you so much, Brynne. I appreciate that. That has now resolved. I feel less conflicted.
I'm so glad. Because you've earned it. You really have. And you've earned it because you've helped so many. So that's, I think, kind of the best combination for sure. So I could talk to you all day, but as we wrap this up, is there any question I didn't ask you that I should have?
Usually people ask me who my favorite philosopher is.
Okay. Who's your favorite philosopher?
Oh God, I think it's Plato for sure.
Why?
So what people don't realize about Plato is, or that somehow I read into, he's actually really funny.
Oh.
And so his writing is very serious, and he's got a lot of really big ideas, and it's really kind of to dive into Plato's world is really to be in a totally different world. But he actually has a little bit of he's cheeky. He's got a little bit of a sense of humor, and you don't necessarily find that in, like, Schopenhauer and Heidegger, and like it's just kind of nice when a philosopher throws in a little like, snark.
A wink and a nod.
Yeah, a wink and a nod and a little snark and a little, poking fun at like the elite. It's hard to explain. Socrates cracks me up, like absolutely cracks me up. And so yeah, and what we know of Socrates comes from Plato. So that's why I say Plato.
Oh, there you go. So I know I said that was the last question, but now I know that you are an AI buff, like you just love LLMs, right? And so do you ever go on to an LLM and say, act like Plato?
Okay, so this is crazy, believe it or not. So there's this website called There's an AI for that. And it's one of the largest AI tools, directories that's out there. It's like massive. And so just for the heck of it, I went and I was like, I wonder if anybody's created a Socrates AI and people have created LLMs that act like a lot of philosophers, a lot. And so that to me is pretty wild that you can chat with Socrates if you want.
That would be a lot of fun, I think. Yeah.
He would appreciate that. Can I just tell you, that's his personality. He would totally find it fascinating and amazing if that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is now his legacy will live on to the next generations that may have otherwise missed the importance of the philosophers.
That's such a great point, Brynne, because one of the things that I'm trying to do is make philosophy great again, like honestly, because it has been really put in this like ivory tower academic world gathering dust, and it's so beautiful and amazing and so practical, and so that's a mission of mine, is to expose as many people as possible to philosophy and philosophical thinking, because it's important.
Well, I thank you, and I hope that this podcast interview will do that for some folks. We'll get that out there. Thank you so much. How can people get in touch with you, and and also how do people work with you?
Yeah, so I have a website, everydayphilosophy.com. So you could just like go to that, and there's like a pop-up where you can put in your email address, and like that's how and just sign up. And I'll reach out. You can also connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn a lot. I like LinkedIn. So if you want to connect with me on social, like that's probably the place to do it. And if you want to work with me, I do lectures, workshops, classes. I have mastermind groups. There's multiple ways to engage with these ideas. You just have to have a conversation with me. We'll work it out.
It's awesome. You're fabulous. I just enjoy every moment with you, and I thank you. And to all of our listeners, when you're out and about, don't forget to make your sales social.
Don't miss an episode. Visit socialsaleslink.com/podcast. Leave a review down below. Tell us what you think, what you learned, and what you want to hear from us next. Register for free resources at linkedinlibrary.com. You can also listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Play. Visit our website, socialsaleslink.com, for more information.